Hey, P-Bio, Mrs. Hellinger here. Hey, on Friday, I was working with a couple students at lunch, and I think we did a pretty good job connecting something that was in Chapter 5 and something that was in Chapter 32. So in Chapter 5, one of the things we talked about was signal transduction pathways. And then in 32, on Friday, we talked about this thyroid cascade pathway. So what we have happening in this thyroid cascade pathway are two signal transduction pathways. So I don't think I made that clear when we were in class together. So let me see if I can try to help you out here. So I'm going to actually draw a line down the middle here. Oh, if I had my pencil. Hold on. Bear with me. I've never done this before. You guys are the first. Let me give it a go. I need a pen. Hold on. All right. I should have a pen now. Okay. So I'm going to draw a line down the middle here. And what we have going on here is actually one signal transduction pathway here and a second one happening here. Let's review a little bit about a signal transduction pathway. It starts with a signaling molecule right here. And remember, that's called a ligand. And that ligand will float around outside the cell until it finds a receptor molecule right here, and it'll attach. That will trigger transduction to happen. So this whole process here is a series of biochemical reactions that eventually results in a response here. Now this response could be anything from creating a protein to creating an enzyme to creating a hormone. Whoa, this is hard. Okay. And by the way, enzymes and hormones are actually proteins. So a response can be a creation of some kind of product for the cell or the organ or the body as a whole. So how does this thyroid pathway connect to what we've got going on up here? Well, first of all, and I will get back to talking about negative feedback at the end of this, but let's start with the stimulus. The stimulus that even starts this whole process from happening is the fact that the thyroid hormone levels are low. So you've got low thyroid levels here. When the thyroid hormone level is low in the blood, that stimulates the hypothalamus to get going. The hypothalamus creates this TRH. Now you don't need to know those tiny details. The questions normally provide you with that kind of detail. So you don't need to memorize that. But you do need to understand the process and what's happening. So it creates this TRH, and in this diagram, the TRH is signified by these little red balls. So these little red balls are actually the signaling molecule for the signal transduction pathway that will actually happen in the pituitary gland. So I'm going to change my color to red. So you see these little red balls? That's our signaling molecule. So I'm going to change this to red ball. It will attach to a receptor, go through a transduction, and then there's a response. What's the response? Little red balls go in. What comes out of the pituitary? Oh, TSH and little red triangles. So the response are red triangles. That's it. So that's the end of, oh my gracious, look at that triangle. That's the end of the first signal transduction pathway. Now this TSH will then go out into the bloodstream, circulate through the body, and that's indicated here. You see the little triangles all circulating around the body. Eventually it'll find the thyroid gland, and it's in the thyroid gland where there are receptors in the membranes that will receive these little triangles. So now these little triangles are the ligand or the signaling molecules for the second transduction pathway. So I'm going to go back up here. So our signaling molecule is now the triangle. Let's change this into a triangle. Oh my gracious. And that's triangle. Ooh. It goes through the transduction, bunch of biochemical reactions, and then what comes out? What's the product after it's gone through this signal transduction pathway? It's little red squares, or thyroid hormone. So the response then from triangle to red squares. The thyroid hormone is then going to circulate through the body. That's the response. Now, what's keeping track of the level of the thyroid hormone in the body? It's the hypothalamus that's keeping track of that. So it's constantly monitoring the level of thyroid in the blood. If it's low, then this is going to keep going, and this is going to keep going if it's low. If enough thyroid hormone builds up in the body and thyroid hormone is no longer low and you've got high, we're going to just say TH, thyroid hormone, then the stimulus for the hypothalamus no longer exists. The stimulus is low. If you have high, then it shuts this down, and you will not have this signal transduction pathway happening. So that's the negative feedback. The level of hormone is going to tell the hypothalamus, stop making the TRH, stop this whole process. We've got enough thyroid hormone. When those levels drop again, then this whole process will start again. And I think you can see here that that these signaling molecules can be signaling molecules, then you get a response. That response can turn into a signaling molecule for another signal transduction pathway. So I think that's sort of what it means by this cascade. It's like dominoes falling. You know, you have this cascade effect. One thing has to happen before another thing happens. So I hope that helps make this a little bit clearer. If you're still confused, then come see me on Monday and we'll work through this again.